And so then, then they realize like, wow, maybe I can like just a little, like turn down this anxiety, or maybe I can like stop a panic attack before it comes.
Yeah. That reminds me of a story that I'd heard from Alan Watts. I'm really into his work, but he was talking about, whenever you are sick, like if you have an upper respiratory infection, well, the reason why this talk came into be is he was talking about when an organ in the body is working correctly, you don't notice it, right? We don't notice our digestive tract sorting through our food, right? We don't, for the most part, we don't notice how hard our hearts are beating. And that's a good thing because there's sort of this trust involved, and the body has these physiological functions that are taking care of us, and we don't got to worry about it. But what it becomes problematic is when, we have maybe an upper respiratory infection and we get sick. And obviously that's sort of like an alarm system. Our body's telling us that there's something wrong. And when there's something wrong, it's all that we notice, right? It's like you have a sore throat, you feel it in your body. Your body has this way of expressing that to you. But the one thing that was really powerful for me is when he started talking about the mind in the same way. When your mind is operating the right way, you don't notice that it's moving. Because you're too busy being present with, like you say, the glass.
Totally.
Right? Yeah. But he's saying when the mind isn't operating correctly, it's all you hear. It's all you notice. Yeah. So he's saying, especially even when you concentrate and you focus on your hearing too much, you can create that sort of tinnitus. Whenever we put our attention too much in any given area, it could be internal or external, we end up sort of getting in the way of the natural flow of life. And I thought that was just really interesting because when you start looking at your mind, at least from my experience, as an organ and not actually being who you are, that separation between the awareness and the actual organ becomes so much more clear. When you're operating from where, and almost, even from my experience, you almost have to believe that there's something other than thought that functions, like a spirit, because the spirit can operate from that awareness. And then once I got deeper into that awareness, I started realizing that the ego and the mind is just a tool that we just don't use correctly a lot of the time. It's like when you try and ask really, profound fundamental questions to the mind, we act like it would know the answer to it, but it really doesn't, And I think that's what the spiritual sort of journey really encompasses, is realizing that no amount of, seeking or contemplation in the mind can point you directly to it. It's like the finger pointing to the moon, but it's still not the moon. It can get you kind of close. Yeah. But then there's like the certain point where you fall into awareness and you realize that the present moment is really the meaning to all of that.